Hello, welcome to my lab. Today I will show you my project that I am working on. It's with a Braccio robotic arm that looks like this, and it's connected up to an Arduino Wi-Fi board with a servo shield that runs the servos or motors. The way I set up this project is to have this robotic arm pick up an object and take it to a designated location on this table surface, and then place the object down and then proceed to pick up another object. But it's not permitted to place an object on top of the other one. That's because this needs to be cleared. I did not program the Braccio to place objects on top of other objects. It's only permitted to place an object in one location. So I programmed this Braccio robotic arm to place an object, and then if the object is still here, I have a switch that I'll communicate with the Braccio to tell it that an object is here and it's not removed from this location. So then as the Braccio picks up the other object, it's going to have to find an alternate location that's already programmed. So the alternate position is over here. Now as this program runs and the Braccio arm picks up the objects, a green light turns on to indicate that the cycle is running, and once an object is in its position and becomes an obstacle for another object, then a warning light comes on and communicates with the Braccio, telling the Braccio that it needs to go to the place the second load to the alternate position. And next to that setup, I have a camera. It's an OV7670 camera that's positioned in this location to, in theory, know when an object is placed here, to later on be able to communicate with this Arduino Wi-Fi board that there is an object here, and that way I may be able to bypass manually indicating that there is an object and have the second circuit that's connected to an Arduino Uno board do the job for me. And I'll explain this a little bit later, this setup. I will be running the Wi-Fi with the Arduino Uno Wi-Fi board, and I will tell this Arduino Braccio robotic arm when to begin to run the cycle and when to go to standby. So now I'm gonna open up the Wi-Fi. And I've already programmed this to pick up two objects. So I'm going to click run cycle, and then you're going to see the green light come on, and it's going to want to pick up an object. Green light is on. Place the object, and it's running now. It's going to place the object over here. Now the object is here, so it becomes an obstacle for the other object that it needs to pick up. So I'll flip the switch. Now the light comes on indicating that there's an obstacle for this position. So now it would need to pick up this object and take it to the alternate place position, which is over here. And that's what it does. Now once it's completed its placement of two objects, I'm going to send the Braccio to standby and wait for further instructions. The lights are going to turn off once it's in standby mode, and they're off. Okay, so now, as you have seen, I had to communicate to the Braccio that there was an object here by flipping the switch. So my next step is to have this camera detect this object and communicate that it sees an object in this position, so this light would come on to tell the Braccio robotic arm that it needs to place the second object or load into this alternate or second position. And as you can see, there's a flashing LED light right here, and the system I'm going to be using is, in theory, my arm would have a light that senses the that goes to the camera, and whenever something goes in front of it, the light is blocked and the camera can sense that there's less light. So the way I implemented my circuit here is I've tapped into the circuit and this LED flashes, but the off time is very low, very short. So whenever it loses light, the software for this camera somewhat reboots itself or adjusts itself and turns off the LED for a longer period. So I will be having my software determine the length of period that it's being off for a longer period than the simple flashes that you see here, and it will then communicate to the circuit. And I'm going to show you that right now this camera is taking pictures or photographs. Well, not at this instant, I still have to start the program. So I go to my command window. I have the command already in, waiting. Enter. So now it's looking for images, and then I'll go look into the folder.